singer, pianist, organist, who considers herself lucky to have pursued her lifelong dreams to learn everything she could about many styles and expressions of classical music. She has sung in many churches, halls, embassies in Washington, D.C., area where she resides. The highlights of her career include being a solo at Kennedy Center, Anderson House, this is a Society of Cincinnati, and the Washington Cathedral. Laura has sung extensively in Europe, Asia, South America. A highlight was singing the soprano solo from Monteverdi's Vespers. And this is in Venice, Italy. She makes her summer home in southern Spain, where she has sung many concerts. Genealogy is her passion. She received from her parents, and she is grateful and dedicates this program to them.
Oh, that sounds so nice. Who is this person? Thank you for having me. Thanks to Yvonne for setting this up and for all coming. I'm delighted to meet you. I've been a member for a number of years, but have never visited. My mother was a regent here several terms in the 90s, I guess, maybe around 2000. Unfortunately, she's not well enough to come today. I thought this was going to be special for both my parents. My father turned 90, and I said, oh, this would be a great thing to do, but he's not here. But we're videotaping this. I'm so compelled by thinking of these ancestors of mine, as I know you all are. What did they think? What did they feel? How did they express themselves? Today I'm going to sing 6 songs, and before each song I will explain why I chose the piece. It could be to highlight some portion of history, and I'll try to go easy on that, or talk about the culture or interesting connections that ancestors have. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully this will get you thinking about songs that your ancestors sang. I don't know if you've thought about that or if it's been passed down to you. I have one in here from my grandmother who wrote a memoir, and she told in this memoir how her great-grandparents met through song. And I have another story of an ancestor that just blew me away and got me started, and I'll tell you about that. I find it enriching and fun, and it helps me understand better who I am as a person. So the first song is called Tobacco is Like Love. And I have ancestors from Jamestown. I actually have, from my DNA, I have Native American, which was a story that was passed down through my mother. There's Native American. And I know a lot of people got that. But in this case, I did the DNA and it came out. So I was excited about that. But the Virginia Company came to Jamestown, came once, and then there was the starving period, and they came again. And I actually had ancestors that came before the starving period and, of course, after. And that was 1608. And they wanted to start up commerce. This was not a religious venture, it was a business venture. And what did they want to do? They wanted to sell tobacco. Okay, because when Christopher Columbus came to the New World for the first time, he landed on a beach, San Salvador Island in the Bahamas. And the Indians gave him 3 things. They gave him fruit, they gave him a weapon, a wooden weapon, and then they gave him this little pile of weeds wrapped up. And he ate the fruit, he kept the weapon, and he tossed the weeds. Well, the weeds were tobacco. And tobacco was the gold of the New World. In fact, tobacco was the currency of Virginia and North Carolina up until Alexander Hamilton started the treasury. So tobacco was king. And here's a song from England written in 1605. And I hope you all have the words, because the words are a lot of fun. Tobacco, really they're trying to sell tobacco here. It's like a jingle. Tobacco is like love. You know, it does all these things, it's fantastic for you. get your tobacco. And I'd like to introduce my husband, Dr. David Roberts, who's very nicely accompanied me. Tobacco, tobacco, sweet, sweet fruit. Tobacco, tobacco is like love. Oh, love it, for you see, I will prove it. Love it is the first mixture, so doth tobacco, not still dries love, oh, don't you? Salt of tobacco, not expensive from shore to shore. So doth tobacco, 'tis fond love and makes men poor. So doth tobacco. Love makes men small, coward fears. So doth tobacco. Love often sets men by ears. So doth tobacco. Tobacco, tobacco, sings sweetly from tobacco. Tobacco is like love. Oh, love it, for you see, I have proved it. The first jingle. Nearly 50 years later, in 1660, my ancestors, Louis Dubois and his wife, Catherine Dubois, left with Catherine's parents. They left Mannheim, Germany, for New Amsterdam, the New World. The name doesn't sound German because they aren't. The story is that the father of Louis Dubois, Chrétien, was comfortably thriving in the town of Lille in France, northern France. He was a silk merchant at the time when clothing meant more than it does today. People didn't have any clothes, and you'd buy something nice, and it showed your standing and your position in society. Suddenly, Chrétien had to flee with his family, losing his home, his business, because of religious persecution by the Habsburgs. The Catholic Habsburgs, who had ruled the Holy Roman Empire, sought relentlessly to rid Europe of the Protestant movement. Chrétien and his family, including young Catherine, my 10th great grandmother, fled initially to Canterbury, England, but then the religious wars were going on in England. Charles I was beheaded, and then they had to leave England, and that's how they ended up in Mannheim. And Mannheim encouraged people to come because they had just had a 30 years war where the town was literally decimated, down to 10% of the population. And they offered no taxes for 10 years if people would come and get businesses going at the time. I didn't know any of this, by the way, when I started out. I was amazed. So I guess that didn't work out because they left to Amsterdam, and then they went to New Amsterdam in the New World and settled on the Hudson River in New Paltz, New York. And soon, 4 years later, the British took over, and 1664 was the year. So that's a lot of history, but it sets the stage for how and why my ancestors found themselves among Indians in New York State. After negotiating a trade of land and possessions with the Mohawk Indians, the French group moved up the Hudson River and created a town called Esopus, later New Paltz. This is the story that's narrated. One day, June 7, 1663, men came back home from the lowlands to find every house in the village destroyed. Not a living soul was there to welcome them and tell them the tale.
Well, the people that come in aren't going to know this is a restaurant. You know, I know.
Only 3 men were there. They were all dead right where they had been standing. The women and children were gone. They'd been carried off prisoner. Could you close the door, please? No, you can't.
They won't let me.
Okay. Carried off by the Indians. And they were tracking the Dutch and the French were tracking the Indians, and the Indians kept taking flight. So, another source says, about 10 weeks after the capture of the women and children, the Indians decided to celebrate their own escape from pursuit by burning some of their victims. And the one selected were my ancestor, Catherine Dubois, and her baby, Sarah, who was also my ancestor. So you know that they made it. Okay. A cubicle of logs was arranged and the mother and child placed thereon. When the Indians were about to apply the torch, Catherine began to sing the 137th Psalm, which is by the waters of Babylon. She sang it as a death chant. When she had finished, they demanded more, and before she had finished the last song, her husband and the Dutch soldiers from New Amsterdam arrived and released the prisoners. So I looked up what would the setting of Psalm 137 be. It would have been from the Geneva Psalter. She was French. And so I'm going to sing one verse in French from the Geneva Psalter, and then I'm going to do two in English because I know you don't understand Old French. Okay. So she would have sung it without accompaniment. Obviously, she had a funeral pyre underneath. It was a season for rivers aquatic to Babylon, nous souvenons du pays de Sion, au milieu de l'habitation. Along the streams of Babylon in silence, we sat and wept, remembering Zion's gladness. And on the windows there we bore light. For there are captors in our songs recall, while we lamented, joy had left me wanting. Sing for us, wonder of Zion's songs they taunted. How shall we sing the Lord's song in our anguish, when we love and love we languish? Jerusalem, for you I cry. My right hand breathe her, if I would deny. My mouth be dumb, if ever I forget her. If not around, I ask myself. So her grandchild, Jacob Van Meter, who was Dutch, was one of the children. Grandchild? Yes. He was a descendant of this brave singing captive. And he was involved in the French and Indian War of 1754 to 1763. The war began with a territory dispute over the junction of the Allegheny and the Monongahela River in what is Fort Pitt. Okay, so my ancestor was in among the Indians. He had learned how to speak some of the languages because he was living among the Indians, and I think that was true for a lot of those early people. After this British success, the group of very brave pioneers, including 10 or 20 of my ancestors, moved into that transitional territory. So the song Over the Hills and Far Away is the next song I'm going to sing. This is the version from the French and Indian War. However, I'd like to say that back then people would hear a tune and they'd write melody, write lyrics to go with that tune. So there are many other lyrics that go with this tune. And one of them, and we don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, was in the Beggar's Opera in England. And that was sort of a satirical piece in the style of Gilbert and Sullivan. So you'll find that. And other examples of what we would call recycling a song or stealing a song, if you'd like, Parody, yeah, that's good. The Star Spangled Banner is an example of that. I think you all know that. Did you know it was a drinking song?
Yeah.
Everyone knew the song, so the song got transmitted easily because everyone had the tune. And it's always easy to remember words if you have a tune in your head. In fact, a little parlor game that I don't know if any of you have played is ask someone to recite the words, not sing, but recite the words of the Star Spangled Banner. And they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then after about 30 seconds, it's gone into the music part of the brain and they have no idea. It's a fun little trick to try with friends. Hey, I don't know anyone that's done it, and I tried with a lot of people. So I wanted to tell you about Yankee Doodle also.
It's an octave and a half, and most people don't have range.
That's true too. That was quite a challenging song. It continues to be a challenging song, right? So Yankee Doodle is another such song. And I have, it was well known across Europe, including England, France, Holland, Hungary, and Spain. The earliest words come from Middle Dutch as an artist song, which is thought to have followed the same tune from the 15th century. I'm going to give you the words, I think they're very cute. Yanker diddle doodle down, diddle doodle lanther. Yankee bibber booble bound, buttermilk and tanther. You can tell that sounds like Yankee Doodle, right? And buttermilk and tanther means that the farm laborers were given all the buttermilk they wanted to drink, and tanther was a tenth of grain, so they would get that. So this is the song Over the Hills and Far Away, and let's start.
Over the mountains, dreary waste, to meet me at our merry feast. Our king commands and we obey. Over the hills and far away, over the hills with hearts we go to fight the proud insulting foe. Our country goes and we'll obey. Over the hills and far away. Whoever is free will join and come along with me to drive the French without delay. Over the hills and far away, over the hills with hearts we go to fight the proud insulting foe. Our country grows and we'll obey. Over the hills and far away. On Glenmore Isles banks we stand, musket and rail hand in hand. A French army they dare not stay, attached to
because it was pre-Revolutionary War. Switching gears, my final ancestor to cross the Atlantic was Welsh. And so, and my mother grew up with her Welsh side of the family nearby, and she gave me this Welsh songbook, and I got the impression that I better do this. It's important. So I'll tell you a little bit about anthems, okay? The Welsh national anthem became the first international anthem because when the Welsh rugby team played in New Zealand in 1905, the opposing team played a traditional Maori war chant before the game. And the Welsh, being very fiercely proud, responded with their own national anthem. And that's the beginning of the tradition of national anthems at sporting events. I found that on Wikipedia. My great-grandfather, John D. Williams, sang in one of the many Welsh singing and cultural societies in Ohio, New York, and Pennsylvania. Each year, there were singing competitions to select singers to represent America at the annual Welsh Festival, which is called the Eisteddfod, Song, Dance, and Poetry Festival, which goes back to the 12th century. And I'm going to make a little parentheses to say here that recent DNA analysis have revealed that the original people of Great Britain are none other than the Welsh. Others who came later included Vikings and Saxons and Basques, but the British, the true British Isles people are Welsh. You'll like that if you're Welsh. Otherwise, you won't like it. John Williams was selected in 1913 to travel to Wales, where he received top honors with his choir. And I do a lot of singing abroad, and I feel like I got that bug from him. I never met him, but. So this is Land of My Fathers, and it would have been sung by all the participants and all the choirs singing heartily. I'm thrilled to present an excerpt of my grandmother's writings. My grandmother died in 1983. I did write down the year she was born, but she writes here, the way my grandmother and grandfather met, which would be my second great grandparents. He was on a train with a lot of other soldiers going to the war, the Civil War. Grandma was with a group of young ladies who were to sing for them while the train stopped in a train station a while in Belmont, West Virginia. I remember she said they sang a song, Gay and Happy, and Mama used to sing it sometimes. So she wrote down the words, and then I typed in, and through the miracle of the internet, I was able to find the song. It was published in the 1860s. It was actually a Texas barroom song. See a theme here? But the most important part is at the end. He got her name, they wrote to each other all through the war, and when he got home, they were married. And here it is. Put yourself in